This is Delta Rainbow Television. WARRI beaming signals of unity. My name is Ezemio Dumuso and welcome you to our special broadcast this lovely Tuesday. It's Valentine's Day, it's Lover's Day, but then we're celebrating, but then today we're breaking our programs right now to bring you this special interview. You know, politics is in the air, and 25th of February will begin with the presidential and national assembly elections, and after that we'll have the governorship and state house of assembly elections on the 11th of March. So people are going about campaigning and then telling us what they have for us. We have so many candidates and we have about 18 parties that are contesting in this election in different parties and of course at different positions. And of course in Delta State we have a governorship candidate, and many of you will not know that some of them are in the race. So we need to bring them on for you to know those that are in the race and what they have for us. And today we have somebody special who is a governorship aspirant of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, that is APGA, APGA. Is no other person, it's one that you know very well, a Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru, and they call him the People's General in the studio this evening. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm sure that Deltans are excited to see you on air today because they want to know what you have. Now, let me begin by asking you this. Who is Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru? Let's know you.
Well, who is Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru? Great Ovedje Ogboru is a simple Deltan, a businessman, a politician, a father, and a philanthropist. A politician, if you want to add that to it.
Okay.
But yes, I want to believe that most Deltans have at one time or the other encountered the person of Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru, if not directly, indirectly, because we have been in the course of these years trying to do something in Delta State, which is to bring a new paradigm in governance. So I think, I think that
that is you in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think that I am not a stranger to the public in Delta States.
Okay.
Probably not a stranger to the public in Nigeria either.
Okay. So you've been in the race for some time now, contesting. You contested with James Ibori, with Dr. Emmanuel Odwa, and then with Okowa.
Yes.
And then here you are again. So people begin to wonder, why are you still in the race after so many years and coming out so many times to contest, and then it seems that it's not working. So why are you still in the race?
First and foremost, we come from a background in which we do not accept to be cheated. We felt that in those elections that things did not go well, not because the people didn't vote for us, but because the system was manipulated to produce the wrong results. To take for instance, in the 2007 rerun elections, we won 12 of the local governments on land, but we lost that election from 5 riverine communities that have little or no source of livelihood. In 2011, the votes that came from 5 local governments surpassed the votes from 20 local governments that are on land. 5 riverine local governments, more than the 20 local governments on land. That for us is an injustice that we should not allow to continue. Because certainly everybody knows that you do not have the population, you do not have the means of livelihood in those places. In those places you really haven't got schools, you have no industries, you have no markets. So what is sustaining that kind of population? So we are using invisible votes to make government, to form government in Delta State. And we didn't think that was right. And in a situation like that, we have to continue to say, no, it is an injustice to humanity that you make a government without the valid votes of the people of that community. And for people like us, who believe in justice, who believe in equity, and who think that things must be done properly, we cannot take that as an answer. That definitely should not be the final word. We want to make sure that things are put right, and then we're able to give Deltans the opportunity to begin to chart a new path. Right now, there's so much docility, and people misunderstand the rule of law, which we follow, which we preach, which we inculcate in our followership, to be a sign of weakness. In some other states, what happened in Delta State will have led to so much violence, because it will have been do or die. But we have refused to be part of that, because we have a history, and the type of history and background we come from will not allow us to do certain things in a particular way, where people thought that, oh, the right thing for us would be to go violent, to go and fight the government, go and shoot up. No, we wouldn't say that. No, there is a process. Okay. The procedures laid down by the Constitution, follow it, and we did that severally. I don't think anybody has gone to the Supreme Court on electoral jurisprudence more than myself in Nigeria.
Okay, so you think that you have been cheated in all those times?
Not just me in person, Delta State. Delta State.
That's why you are still...
Delta State has been cheated severally.
Okay, and that's why you're still in the race.
Because invisible votes, toxic votes, non-existent, invalid votes have been used to form government. And then even if you have to extrapolate, and then you come to 2015 and 2019, we also went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said that the card reader was not recognized. But what was glaring was that the votes that came from the card reader and the votes that produced the winner were not at sync. You had more votes than accredited voters. When you have more votes than the total accredited voters, your votes are void. But we went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said, no, this card reader is not recognized by law. That's why President WARRI had to make this new electoral act, to make provision for devices, not just the card reader, devices approved by INEC.
That will work.
That can, yeah. So in this case now, if what we're expecting, or what we expect to happen by this act, is that if you have more votes than accredited voters, your votes will be void. If they don't void them on the field, they will void them in the court. Because now the Supreme Court will say, yes, there's an act. It wasn't so.
Okay. So I'm going to follow through with that now. Okay, now, for some people think that, people are saying that you come to contest elections, and after the elections, you run away. You don't come again in the next 4 years. How true is this?
But certainly that cannot be true by any stretch of imagination. First, in 2003, when we contested elections, we spent almost 3 years in the court.
Yeah.
Almost 3 years in the courts. And then in 2007, we were in the courts from 2007 to 2010. Before,
another 3 years.
And then, yes, another 3 years. In fact, that was 3.5 years, because we only took out Dr. Emmanuel Odwaga in the court before, so that we had the rerun election. That was 3.5 years in the court. What were we supposed to do? To sit down in Delta State here, challenging the authority of the man that you know did not win an election against you, and now is the governor holding the gun, the cutlass, and having executive powers to do all sorts of things. You don't tempt them. You don't have to captain the ship. In a presidential system, which is what we are running, you have to know that the executive is very powerful.
Yeah.
And since you cannot have two captains in a ship, and we refuse to accept that there was a victor in that election, and we are challenging them without fear or hindrance, you should know that that could result to casualties. So we have to take the view that, well, we do not want to interfere with the smooth governance of the state, so we do not want to be confrontational, we do not want to be seen attacking the government, distracting them. Whereas we disagree with the outcome of the elections, we have put our position ourselves within the rubric of the process set by governance or by government or the constitution.
Yeah.
And until that is exhausted, there's not much we can do. And then if you are confronting the sitting governor and you're taking him up to the Supreme Court and you are seeing everything gallivanting and putting your hands in his face, you may actually be cutting for problems, you know. So we are very careful. We are mindful of what we do. We're mindful of what we do. But most importantly is to make sure that we do not distract a smooth running of government in Delta State, and then of course to make sure that there is order in society. So by staying away and leaving the government to run, we give them the opportunity to be focused in what they do. We do not run away. When I left, every time after an election, apart from being in the courts, I am a private citizen. I'm a businessman.
Okay, go back to your business.
I have to go back to my business, and I have to attend only functions that are relevant, which means family and friends.
Okay, so now you are coming out again to contest these elections.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do differently, maybe from what you have laid down before and from what is on ground in the state? You know, all these times you've been coming out to contest since 1999.
No, 2003.
2003, you've come out to contest. You surely have an agenda. Definitely. Is that one still in existence, or you've changed your agenda? And what are you going to do differently in the state from that your agenda now, and then from what is on ground?
Okay, the issues are the same, but the rot may be deeper. In 2003, for instance, we had a program which we call the Equal Opportunity Local Government Development Initiative. By that initiative, we said then that we would give each local government 100 million naira monthly for them to meet the developmental challenges in each of those local governments.
Each local is 25 billion?
Yes, that's 2.5.
2.5.
But today, because of the value of the naira, because of increased challenges in the local government, we are saying that even that 100 million cannot be enough anymore. So we have to make that today 200 million naira to each local government monthly for their own immediate developmental challenge needs, which means that in Delta State, this new government will devote 5 billion naira every month to be given to the local governments.
Aside from what is coming from federal?
That is federal. Okay. We are saying what is coming from federal is not sufficient. Okay. But of course, this is a special purpose vehicle, that is the Equal Opportunity this development initiative. It's a special purpose vehicle in which we are trying to meet the needs of the LGAs. There are advantages there. First, the local governments have to decide for themselves what their needs are. Two, they have to formulate the strategies to implement them. And then they are doing it for themselves and by themselves. That tells you that not only are we creating new leadership centers, new developmental centers, we're actually giving the people an opportunity to exercise authority over financial matters.
When you give to them.
Yes.
So won't they raise any IGR for themselves?
I mean, you know, these things come by incremental gains. It's not an overnight. We'll start with what we have said we'll do now, going down the road when people are empowered, when there are more opportunities, when development, then we can start to say, okay, maybe we need to tax some of these things, and then the issue of IGR comes in. Okay. But for today, we think that the people are too poor. They are too poor, and so much too, and their needs are much more than they can actually afford, that they need the help of government, not for the government to tax them further. Okay, not to tax development. No. We must of all develop them, create an economy. The economy today is subsistence, below subsistence. It's far below subsistence. And so to start to tax these poor people again in the name of IGR, for me, my heart bleeds. I think we must develop society, we must develop the people, we must develop the economy to an extent before we start to think of this type of initiative.
Okay, will you, when you, for example, you go into power, local governments are been asking for their autonomy, but many state governments have refused to give them that. Will you support them being autonomous or still being under the government?
What I just explained to you now is what we are commending to the federal government by other means, to say that the right thing to do is to grant local governments full autonomy.
Okay.
That's what we are saying in a nutshell.
Okay.
That's why we are saying that we will subsidize, or sorry, not subsidize, because we are not actually giving the money to the council. No, it's not the council. This money doesn't go to the council.
So where does it go?
This money goes to a board. We are creating a board, a local government development board, which is under the state government.
That will oversee the running of local government?
That's why we say it's a special, not the local government, the developmental challenges in the local government.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So apart from what the council does, which is what is in the constitution, we as a state government are saying that we do not know exactly what you need in your local government.
So
or better put, you know better what you need, but you don't have the money. You understand?
Yeah.
You don't have the money. You don't have the wherewithal.
So you're going to give to
them.
them.
So we will give you money and say, please tell us what you want to do.
It's not a loan.
Yes. No. Okay. Tell us. And then we have to make sure that the money works for the people.
Okay.
And overnight, let me be frank with you, and this is not glib talk, and this is not some kind of marketing, selling, unique selling propositions. No. We are saying that multiple centers of development simultaneously in the Delta State is good for the people.
Okay. So besides that, is there any other thing different that you will do?
Yes, so many other things are different that we'll do.
Okay.
For instance, the environment in Delta States, in my view, is challenged.
Or do we go straight to your agenda?
My agenda? Well, of course, everything I've been talking about now is part of your agenda. Yes, okay. It's part of my agenda. If you want to, if you haven't seen, I'm sure you will find this somewhere in the website.
Okay.
This Jubilee agenda.
Okay.
Jubilee
so your agenda is Jubilee agenda.
Jubilee agenda, yes.
For a fair Delta.
For a fair
Delta. A better Delta.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What is here is an encapsulation of the 17-point Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. We have compressed it into 7. But this 7-point agenda which we have actually encapsulates all that the United Nations expects of any government or any community of society to be able to achieve today Sustainable Development Goals.
So can we have some of that people are watching so that they can know that actually this is what is your agenda? You just mentioned one now about the local government.
That is the special purpose vehicle.
Okay,
for instance, we are saying here that education is a human right. Therefore, we shall promote inclusive and qualitative education for all, as well as a lifelong learning opportunity. That is broad. And we're saying education should be free. At the primary level, at the secondary school level, education should be free. We are saying that all our schools must have a minimum standard of hygiene, a minimum standard as a learning environment. Some of the ramshackle places in which we bring up our children today are not correct.
So the environment
the learning environment has to also change. The kind of the educational courses, the resume also will have to review them. For instance, we do not have history in schools. We have to learn history.
We used to have it before.
No. We used to have history.
Yeah.
We used to have religion. I'm sure we'll have to inculcate some of those things if they are not there anymore. But then you talk about the welfare package of the teachers.
Yeah.
What about the teachers? What about their living conditions? These are some of the things we have to do. We have to look at the qualitative aspects of making sure you bring your child up. If the teacher is wanting, lacks, has no food, has no welfare, no roof over his head, how do you think he's going to teach your child to become a good person, a good citizen?
So he has to be in a good frame of mind.
The days in which we say that the reward of the teacher is in heaven, that's gone. The teacher is facing the same societal challenges we face every day.
Yeah.
Their wives go to the same market you go to every day. So some of the things we do actually, we're making people, forcing them to become corrupt. When we underpay people and we make them do things which they should ordinarily not do because they have been deprived. We blame it and we say it's corruption. No, we're actually creating corruption. So we're going to look at the take-home pay of the teachers all over here.
That's the education sector?
Yes, for the education. And not only that, in the civil service generally. We have to look at that. The issue of people going for retirement and after 2 or 3 years they are still not paid. No.
Pensions.
Pension. You knew that this man has been in service for 30 years, maybe 35 years, and he's going to retire in about 2 or 3 months' time, and you have not made provision for him, then you're not a good manager. So there must be a conscious effort to be proactive to make sure that this type of things don't happen. Okay. So that is part of what we're going to be bringing there. But most importantly, the economy. We are a rich oil-producing state, but we cannot even refine one drop of crude oil in Delta State. Why is that so? We are saying that in areas of comparative advantage, where we have comparative advantage as a state, we must, as of necessity, invest in those areas. Delta State government must invest in the marine resources they have. They must invest in the oil and gas sector that we have in natural abundance. And then in agriculture too. I won't want to take human resource portfolio out of that. We must invest in all of these.
Yeah.
These are areas of comparative advantage. And an investment there is not a lost investment.
No.
I believe that Delta States, under my leadership, will have not less than 3 or 4 modular refineries in this state. And I also believe that we can have a deal with the federal government to refine not less than 30% of the crude oil that comes from our state. I believe that that is the minimalist position we should take in this issue.
But you know that we're looking beyond oil.
Looking beyond oil. Oil is going to be here for another 50 years. Let's talk about the 50 years of people who are on this earth now.
Okay.
How many of them will live for the next 50 years? Investing in oil and gas today for an industry is still going to be even more than 50 years, let's be frank with ourselves.
Okay.
So even if it is 30 years, and if we are going to be able to get resources, financial rewards and benefits, and of course create jobs and opportunities and have a better social environment by investing in oil and gas, I think that is the benefit to the society.
Okay, so you want to, make use of what we have.
You have to make use of what you can't. You see,
outside, yeah.
God who created us and put oil here is not stupid.
No.
He says that is your blessing. That's what's going to feed you. Mm-hmm. And if that thing is not feeding you, will suffer. So we are going to ask as a right that we must take a piece of the action.
Okay, so this is your agenda now, your manifesto now, okay. And you just mentioned some of this. All these things you mentioned, have they been the pain in you that has made you to come out over and over again? I did ask that before. You are just saying it now, and you didn't mention the women and the youths. Yeah,
I'm coming. You see, we have to digress a little. When you talk about modification of our previous agenda.
Yes.
Today, previously, when we talked about the EO, that's the Equal Opportunity Local Government Development Initiative, the problem of youth unemployment was not this right. Today, we have redefined this SPV to say that it has to be managed by the youths. For persons between the ages of 25 and 40 years, we will be given the opportunity to develop the local government.
Are you not starting from 18?
I know we're taking, I think here we put 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 20 or 25 years? It depends on how you want to define youth anyway. For me, I think youth starts from 18.
Yes.
But for the purpose of this program, I think we took 20 or 25 years. It's 20 years actually, the youth. Okay. We have said here that the boards will be run by the youth, between people between the ages of 20 and 40 years old. Mm-hmm. We believe that by so doing, we're actually preparing leadership to go to the center. A lot of what we are having today now, the anomalies we have in governance today, is because people are not prepared. People really are not prepared. Everything is politics. You are coming into governance with very little knowledge of what you're supposed to do. You neither have private sector experience, nor do you have public sector experience. So you are coming into governance as a novice, and what happens? You start to group for ideas, and before you know it, 4 years is over, and nothing has happened. But you know, after the first and second year, you become desperate.
And that's one thing I did ask you earlier on. You know, when people come into power, like this is campaign period, now election is very close by. We've been hearing so many promises. If you vote me into office, I will do this, I will do that, and all of that. But immediately they go into office, they do something. In fact, they forget what they have promised the people.
Yeah, I think.
Why is it like that?
Yeah, that is.
Would that be your own case?
Certainly not, because I think that is partly to do with inexperience and a function of not being prepared, and it also could border on lack of knowledge.
As a promise?
Well, people are promising things that they don't know. I'm talking to you about issues that I understand. So if anything that is here, I can explain properly because I know what I'm saying and I know what I want to do. I can see the environment.
Yeah,
I can see the challenges.
People still have manifestos, and then when they go, they don't follow through.
Because they are not serious people.
Okay.
We cannot be unserious for 20 years trying to do the same thing. We are saying what we are saying now because we believe in what we are saying, and we believe that if it is done, it will be a landmark, and it will be a paradigm shift for the society, for Delta State, which means there will be change, which is total, complete, and categorical.
So you think your manifesto you have, your agenda you have, if you voted into power, you're going to follow through with all of them?
Absolutely.
People can hold you to your words, can ask you.
You can take that to the bank.
Okay, and get some money with it. Okay.
You'll be paid. You'll be paid.
Be paid for it.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay, now let me ask you again. Why should people vote for you for Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru at this time?
Well, you see, this is a democracy.
Do you think they're tired of you, or do you think they still love you?
The taste of the pudding is eating. We are putting ourselves forward. Don't look at Great Ovedje Ogboru as a person. Look at what Great Ovedje Ogboru says he will do. If you are satisfied with what Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru says he will do, and you want those things done, then you will vote for Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru. If you think you have a better agenda from elsewhere, you vote for that alternative. My prayer is that at every point in time, we should have the majority. It is the majority that determines who gets into government. And I want to believe that the good people of Delta State will buy into this agenda, not because it's coming from me, but because clearly it is a superior agenda to what's on ground. You certainly cannot compare what we have here with what's on ground today. And we know the APC from where we are coming from. Okay. So, I think...
so your agenda has changed a bit from what it used to be? Now,
only modified, not changed.
Okay, modified, okay.
We have deepened the concept where it has to be deepened. We had made adjustments where we have to make adjustments. But basically, it is making sure that nobody in Delta State is left behind. Okay.
So I'll ask you again. You go out to campaign all across the state.
Yes.
So how do people receive you? Are they happy to see you like before? I know before people used to, love this man, Great Ogboru, and the time of Nanaja. Do you still have that, people still have that feeling about you when they see you campaign? I mean, you go to them.
You know, society matures over time. And then the people also have their own personal challenges, their own personal pains. And some of those who were extremely enthusiastic about my presence in the polity have also grown older. They have gotten their own families, and now they are facing severe challenges, not from any fault of theirs. Their children have gone to school, they have come out of school, and there are no jobs. How do you expect them to be excited seeing somebody? They have been weighed down by their emotions. But there is hope. There is hope, and that's what we represent, the change that must come for Deltans to be free.
The change must come. We always look forward to positive change and not negative change, because if you talk about change, people will expect to see something different from what we have now.
Well, if we were comfortable with what we have now, we would have seen being a member of the People's Democratic Party. As you know, in all these my contests, I've never been a member of the People's Democratic Party, and that's because I do not believe that they have any vision for the people of Delta State.
Okay, we'll leave it there because our time is up. We're going to go over to the radio now to continue, where people can have time to call in and of course to ask you questions, because it's going to be interactive, more interactive on radio. But some people say that you've been making people, you know, in different positions, House of Assembly, the Senate, and all of that, and after everything, they seem to abandon you. I don't know how true is that. Somebody's just asking.
Well, you see, in the polity which we found ourselves, there is so much inducement that takes place. Inducement,
financial,
political, power type.
Okay.
Inducement. There are also all sorts of influences. Most importantly is to undo the other person. Sometimes, and most of the time, they actually take members from you and then bench them. They destroy their lives. So it would have been better for them to have been consistent and to stick with them, to have stuck with us. They didn't. They went to the other side and they became irrelevant. They became irrelevant. So what am I trying to say? It is part of ignorance on the part of the government to be inducing people and making them to cross carpet at will. No, it's a democracy. If you want to come and serve, and let the people decide. Some of them were actually forced to leave, to quit, to join them, because that seemed to be the only way. In any case, there is a time for everything.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the time that God said we should now form the government, and then to show them the new way, the way things have to be done. Because as a governor of this state, by the grace of God, you will never see me go and ask one person from another party to come and decamp to my party, because society needs an alternative.
Okay. So what gives you the drive to go on? Passion for the people or what?
If you know that the people love you and you see them dying, will you be happy?
Okay, so that gives you the passion.
No, we see that the people need help, so we have to help them. We see that we have been cheated, so we are saying no too.
Okay, so that's your driving force all these years.
The driving force is that we want a society that's equitable. We want a society in which people can exercise franchise. We want a society which is fair to all and just to all. If we haven't gotten that society, then it's work in progress. We must keep on doing it until we have a society in which we say, yes, there's justice.
That's what keeps you going. Absolutely. Okay, we are going over to read about. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, what do you have for the people? What do you have to say to them?
What do I have to say to them? All I've been saying now is what I have to say to them.
Okay.
That they should just keep hope alive. Pray to God that we form this government and that we were able to work together with them to transform the society to the society of their dreams.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Chief Great Ovedje Ogboru of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, that is APGA. For you in Delta State, he has come to tell us about himself and his manifesto and what gives him the drive, what pushes him to go on all these years. He's been in the race, and of course he has a passion to change things. All right, we'll leave it here for now. You can join us on radio very shortly on 88.6 Melody FM WARRI. We're going to talk with him, where you have the chance to phone in and then to ask that question.
Let me greet them the way I normally would greet them in Delta State.
Okay.
Let me greet you, Deltans. I will start from Robo Wado. Robo Wado.
Eh.
You know Wado?
Eh.
Ah, Izo?
Yeah.
Izo Kemimi?
Emio.
Shekiri Ajamokiao.
Eh.
Shekiri Ajamokiao.
Eh.
Isoko Waje.
Eh. Ijo.
Isoko Waje.
Ijo.
Aja Jenio. Ndio mnotofe ndene keneno. Igbo kwenu.
Yeah.
Igbo kwenu.
Yeah.
Delta kwenu.
Yeah.
Kwezwenu.
Eh.
Siegwari.
Yeah.
That's all it is in Delta State.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Very much.
Just hold on a minute. All right, and that's our interview for now, interrupting our program. So we'll continue with our normal programs right here on Delta Rainbow Television, WARRI, while you join us on Melody FM 88.6 for the interactive session where you have time to phone in to ask him questions. All right, thank you so much for being there.
Merci beaucoup.